Good win for the program tonight. Good early win. Going into the game, we were really concerned. Petros obviously Felder is an exceptional point guard, and they have a really good shooter in Max Hooper. So the last 2 days we prepared for those guys, and I thought our guys executed the game plan for the first part of the second half. We got stagnant, and then in the second half we picked it up. Obviously, Mike Talley is coming off the bench. We started Ethan Albano at our point guard position. And me understanding, what the challenges are with coming off the bench, but I knew how tough Mike would be. I knew what this game meant to him, just through conversation, through his work ethic, and just with his approach to the game. So I give him a lot of credit. He was a huge floor leader for us tonight. Carrington Ward and Ray Lee was very, very confident offensively. Those guys did a great job, and I thought our centers, our three centers combined, did a great job anchoring our zone tonight. Jordan Price gave us a lift off the bench, hit a couple threes early, and then in the second half he made some huge plays for us. So all in all, this is a huge win. We don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, but this team we beat here is a very good mid-major basketball team from top to bottom, and they're well coached. So you take this win in stride. You don't get too ahead of yourself. You keep working, and we're just happy with where we are right now.
Talk about, you mentioned Ray Lee having a good day. You mentioned early on in the season wanting him to see, be more consistent. Mm-hmm. So, do you think this is a good bouncing off point, or do you just want to see still more from him, like Youngstown State coming up in this weekend?
Yeah, well, the first thing I said to Ray after the game, right there on the court, he smiled, and I said, Ray, this is one. You got to keep doing it. This is not, the end. You got to be more consistent, and I expect him to play the way he's playing. And I don't think he'll settle in. He's a dynamic offensive player. When he plays confident as he did today, he can score with just about anybody or against anybody. So I'm just glad to see the progress, especially from these three guys, because these are the guys who started last year, who were responsible for the 22-win season. Guys that pulled us through during the MAC tournament before we ran out of gas. I mean, we lost our frontline guys, but perimeter is so important. I'm a defensive guy, and I look for our forwards and centers, for the most part, to anchor our zone. But at the same time, you got to score points. And I told these guys at halftime, as well as we're playing defensively, somebody has to find the basket and put the ball in the hole. And I think eventually, once we got cooking, these guys did a great job. And give Mike Talley, again, a lot of credit. Heck of a floor game, good decisions, went to the basket when he should, made passes when he should. So I think we had a lot of guys who contributed, and I think we have a good group of guys, as I said, all preseason. Like, we need to be patient because we have a lot of new faces, but if these new faces can gel together and find some chemistry, we can be a really good basketball team. And we still have a long way to go. We were stagnant on offense. We weren't fluent. We had a lot of defensive breakdowns, but we played well enough and followed the scouting report well enough to get the victory. And at the end of the day, that's what's the most important thing, is winning.
I think it's an interesting, Coach, that you say you stagnated on offense, and I kind of saw the same thing too, but you also put up 89 points and shot 49% from the floor. Can you talk about what happened during the times when you stagnated offense? What wasn't happening then?
Well, I think, again, we didn't have any exhibition games. All right, and anytime you put new guys in the game, like Brandon Nazoni, Jordan for the first time, this is their first Division I game together. Most teams play 2 exhibitions and then they open up. Well, this is like just our second time being on the floor, really this game, with uniforms referees, so it was kind of some jitter still there. I thought I made a couple substitutions because I wanted to get some guys in early just to get them comfortable, and by me doing that, we lost the offensive rhythm. But I knew once we got to the second half, it would help us settle in. But, we picked it up in the second half. Anytime you can score 50 and a half, especially during my tenure, it never ever happens, okay? So that's a good thing. It's a positive thing. But again, these guys made great decisions. They made big shots, and they continued to push the ball and get easy looks early. And if not, we slowed it down and we executed our offense. So. Just got to keep working, but I credit these guys. I mean, we put them in position, but they make the plays. Ultimately, they won the game for us.
Talking about just rotating, you talked about your rotation. Are you still figuring that out? Is that going to be a process? Going 10, you got 10 guys trying to find the right mixes and right times? Is that still?
I think it'll be a process. We have some really good basketball players, but we just have to find the right combinations. I think we did tonight, pretty much with these three guys on the floor because they have the most experience. But I think Jordan can help us because he's a really good shooter. I know you haven't seen the best of Brandon Nazoni, but he's a really good scorer in the paint area. He can rebound the ball. Anale is an inside-outside guy who's really good. And we have a three-headed monster with our centers. You never know who it's going to be, but we expect all three of those guys to be ready, prepared, and ready to contribute. So I think we have not set ourselves up or set ourselves into a rotation yet. But I do know I got some experienced guys who have been through the wars. So I'm confident in these three. And as we continue to grow, our other guys will continue to get better.
What was the technical foul?
They said Anale raised his elbow, but I mean, I didn't see it, so I really can't
At
comment.
a player, just a high, at Oakland player?
Oakland, yeah, he said he just bumped into a guy. It was nothing intentional, so, you know, I'm not worried about it. Nothing serious, nothing too serious.
Question for Ray. You had that point, a game last season, 38 points. Talk about big scoring game, kind of what was going through your mind kind of near the end of that second half when you're getting good run, couple of good threes.
By that time, I was just in the rhythm of the game. Usually when I'm in the rhythm of the game, I feel like I can affect the game, scoring, passing. That's just the rhythm I was in.
Question for Carrington. You guys really limited Corey Petros in the first 10 minutes of the basketball game. They had a hard time getting in their offensive flow. They like to go through the post. What did you guys do that was successful?
I think it was just following coach's game plan, because, we have a list he has a list that he makes before the game, keys to victory. On that list he had limited Petros post touches, so I think that was just in our minds to keep him to get him out of his groove and keep him out of the game, so I think we did a pretty good job doing that.
Yeah, Carrington, talk about how your role may have changed a bit going into this year. You're doing some really hard work under the net this year, whereas last year you're kind of away from the hoop a little bit more. How is the change in your teammates affected your role? How do you feel it?
I think I still have a similar role, but as you said, I definitely got a sort of a banger role now. And I think that it's just something coach wants me to do to be more tougher, because I rebound a lot, I score, but I think the mental toughness part, being tough, is just a part that he wants me to grow in.
How much more confidence has it been? I'm sorry. How much more confidence now that looks like you put on some weight, some muscle? What did you do this off season, and how much has that given you a boost, confidence-wise, just by being more physically imposing or stronger physically?
I credit Coach Fink to that weightlifting weightlifting coach. He does a great job in the weight room, and I think just the way we've been lifting and the way he's gotten us stronger is just helping me become a more physical and better player to endure the pounding and stuff we take every night.
What about those passes you got from Michael for those tomahawks?
I credit Mike for all that, man. The first one, I was coming down, the first two dunks that I had was actually the similar play. I just ran the floor hard, and Mike seen me and just dumped it off, and I just made the play for him.
So you don't have to call out for him? You get a sense of it? I mean, how do you know that he's right there for you?
I mean, I see, usually when I'm running hard, Mike usually he'll look out the corner of his eye. He'll put his head slightly, but he won't look right at you. He'll just slightly see, and then I just know he's gonna pass.
Well, like Coach said, that comes with experience. This is our first year. Going into our second year, so that comes with time. And I'm just learning my new role, finding guys more. So.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that, Mike. What's your mindset now? Is it you feel like you're the same guy when you're on the court, or if you had to adjust your mindset coming off the bench?
Not really, man. I just played basketball, and last year really helped me because I transferred here and I sat out, so I got a different perspective of the game. Last year I came in and tried to find my way as far as what Coach wants, but I grew over that year, and the summer helped. So now I feel like, I got to be the facilitator. When I'm on the court, I'm going to play hard regardless, but I got to bring that experience because I'm a fifth-year guy, so I got to bring that toughness and experience for the end of the games.
Yeah, for both you and Carrington this year, your senior years, you guys feel a sense of urgency about the season?
Definitely. Yeah, for sure. Because you don't get this, you only play basketball for a certain amount of years, so you don't get this back.
Plus, it's a senior year, you don't know what's going to happen after this, so you just got to give it your all.
Mike, last year you started. Is it hard coming off the bench now, or
I mean, no, I mean, of course, any kid wants to play, but I would do anything coach needs me to do. I'm not a selfish type of guy, you know. If he needs me to come off the bench and get that energy, that's what I'm gonna do. If he needs me to start, that's what I'm gonna do. I just want to win at the end of the day. So.
What kind of mentoring have you done with Ethan Alvano and Tim Bond, the other 2 point guards?
I just share my past experiences, you know, just what I've seen and what I've been through on and off the court. So I just want them to continue, once I'm going here, to take this program as far as they can.
Coach, with those thunderous dunks that Carrington had, do they provide a lift? I mean, is that, you know, I mean, I know dunks are a common part of the game, but something like that.
Yeah, it does. It brings a lot of energy to, you know, the guys on the floor, the guys on the bench, the people in the crowd. But I was disappointed because after both of those dunks, Oakland went back and scored. So I'm telling these guys, don't celebrate. You got to get back and defend your goal. You made a highlight play, but then they come back and get 2, and it's a trade-off. You can't allow that to happen. And we'll get better with that. And Carrington was in the huddle. I said, you know, Carrington, you guys are celebrating, but I expect you to dunk the ball. You're a first-team all-league player. You're one of our best players, if not the best player on any given night. So that's what you should do. You dunk the ball, you go back and defend. Dunk it, go back, block a shot, and get a rebound. That's when you're on top of your game. But I can't say enough about these guys. And Mike mentioned, you know, he'll give it his all in whatever he's doing. But for me, it's not really about a starter. It's about who's on the floor and who's playing starter minutes. Played 28 minutes tonight. Those are the same amount of minutes he probably would have played if he started the game. He had 11 points, 7 assists, no turnovers. In 2 years against Oakland, he's had 31 points and probably 14 assists and no turnovers. So last 2 years against this program, he's done a phenomenal job starting and coming off the bench. But it's all about starter minutes. It's all about who's in at game-winning time. And that's all that matters. And again, like they mentioned, Coach Fink, our first 3 years, we didn't have a strength and conditioning coach. We were working with a GA, a different GA every single year. This is the first time we've hired a full-time strength and conditioning coach, and Coach Fink has done a phenomenal job with the mental aspect and the physical aspect. That's why you were able to see a change in Carrington Warren's body because of the work our sports performance program is putting into our program now. And I think for the long haul, it'll win us a few more games. So we're excited about that new addition to our program as well.
Take one more question if anyone has one.
You know, Raven, I didn't get to ask you one. You know, do you feel, since you're now kind of asked to be a really primary scorer for this team, you got a full year under your belt, do you feel like you can get a consistent effort out of yourself every night now?
Yeah, this is typically my 3rd year playing, so I feel like I can get that done every night.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.